I'm Colin,
And I'm Megan.
and this is
Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter.
brought to you by Time to Pet. Hello, and welcome back to another episode. This week, we are joined by Heather Scott from Heather's Pet Care. Heather talks to us about some big-hitting topics, from what makes a good pet care professional and how she hires her employees, and how she stays organized and manages all of the chaos. She also mentions about how she sets herself apart in her market. Heather's got a lot of awesome stories to share. Let's dive right in.
So my name is Heather, and I've owned Heather's Pet Care for the last 5.5 years now. I've always done other jobs in between. I was a personal trainer for a gym. Actually, when I started this business, I did both for 2 years until I had to make a decision to either become a busier trainer again or to focus on this business. And I decided to focus on the business instead. But I've always kind of done just odd things here and there. I'm a little bit of a hustler. Can't always do just one thing, but I did just run this business for straight 2 years. That was my main income. I didn't do anything else. So I decided to pick up a job about a year ago. And so now I'm just helping people get tan as well as taking care of your dog.
Yeah.
So I've always done kind of odd jobs in between being a dog walker and a pet sitter, which has kind of helped to promote my business because it's not a conflict anywhere. Same with personal training. They didn't have a pet care business. They didn't care that I was telling people that I owned a business. I was there to train, and then I would talk to clients about that. So a lot of my clients at first were really from the gym, which was super helpful.
Oh.
That was a great kind of, that just kind of happened on accident. It's great when it works.
Yeah, it is. So how did you get started in pet care specifically? What was the trigger?
Sure,
the
kind of the aha moment, I guess.
Yeah.
So when I was a personal trainer, I was working there about 15, I think 20 hours a week was my max. And that's really a job that you can't work 8 hours a day at first. It's very boring, especially when you don't have a lot of clients. You're just walking around the gym doing nothing. So I had all this free time on my hands, and I honestly don't know how I came up with dog walking, but I came up with dog walking, and I found not care.com, and I don't even know if this site is around anymore, but I found another kind of pet care dog walking type of site. And it wasn't like homesitters or petsitters.com, which I know is one too. It was another one. I can't remember what it was called. And I actually got my 2 first dog walking clients up around the gym that I was working at from that website. So then I was just kind of working them in between my clients, or I would see clients first at the gym, go walk them because they were local, and then come back. So that's how it really started. And then that was kind of my aha moment. And I never really wanted to make it a business. My main goal, believe it or not, was to pay off my student loans.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, what's a good side hustle to where, I don't have to, I can make good money, but it's not like I'm breaking the bank doing it.
Sure.
And again, dog walking just kind of came into play. And I had these 2 clients. I was like, cool, great. I'll just have those 2 clients, for forever and pay off my loans in X amount of time, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
And overnight, it took off. I ended up joining care.com. Yeah. I messaged some people. This is when it was free. So now you have to pay for everything. Everybody does. It's crazy. Yeah. But back in the day, about 5-6 years ago, it was free. So I would send out my website to everybody. And then they would click on it. Care.com never really caught on. They would click on it and then find my website and then contact me through there.
Okay.
So that's my first 2 clients were from that one site. And then my third client that I still have to this day, I found him through care.com.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it all stumbled into place, I guess. Those 3 clients I had for the one I've had for 5.5 years now. The other 2 I had for over a year straight.
Wow.
So I was like, cool, I'll have just these 3 clients for forever. It'll be wonderful. The third I still do, but then, when things happen, people move and whatnot. And, so that's kind of what happened with the other 2. They ended up just moving. But I just really thought it was going to be just such a side hustle. It kind of just grew in my lap overnight. I was like, oh, crud, this is a business now. I had to start within 6 months. I had to hire people.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It got
So,
that crazy. Yeah. Yep.
so what was the triggering point for hiring your first team member?
I was getting so many new clients that everybody was booking me at the same time for
Yeah.
pet sitting stuff. And I was
Okay.
like, well, I can't sleep at 3 houses at once. What the heck am I going to do? And at the time when I first started the business, I don't know if drop-in visits were really a thing or if people just weren't interested in them. I offer that service now when I have to stay at somebody's house. I'll just say, hey, listen, I'm already staying somewhere, but I can stop in.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I don't think I really offered that 5 years ago. So once a bunch of people were hitting me up and asking me for pet sitting at the same time, I was like, oh crud. Well, now I have to have at least one other person to help me out.
Yeah.
So when I was at the gym, I ended up being paired up with this one girl, Amanda, and she was actually a graphic designer, and she did my first logo for me because I was like, oh my God, I don't even have a logo. And I didn't know what to do. Oh my God, I didn't go to school for that. I was like, I have no clue. Met her. I was like, hey, could you do my logo for me? I'll come work for me too. It just all kind of worked into place. So she ended up working for me pet sitting wise because she had a normal job during the day.
Yeah.
And then one of my coworkers at the gym, she ended up walking dogs for me for 4.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And we started at the same time. We both had the same last name. She got married, but we both had the same last name. So it was just it was weirdly meant to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's always, you have that one staff member you'll never replace.
Sure.
It was her. So I miss her every day. She left me this year. Actually, she left me in June. So that was a tough one. So that was really my triggering moment of needing to hire because everybody was booking me at once. And I was like, what the heck? I'm like, I can't be 4 places at once. And for whatever reason, I didn't offer drop-ins because it's definitely something I do now.
Yeah.
I think those people really wanted somebody to be in the house overnight.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't even think that was really because they probably would have brought it up as an option and they definitely didn't. So
yeah, people tend to know or have an idea of what kind of services they want. So what kind of services do you provide now?
Sure. So I provide overnight care, which is really just a limited basis with scheduling.
Yeah.
Dog walking, which is pretty much every day. Same with pet sitting. So that would be, I guess, the drop-in visits. I call that pet sitting.
Okay.
So we can come in up to 4 times a day if need be. Sometimes dogs 4 times a day is fairly normal. Cats are anywhere between once or twice, and birds are usually just once. I do have some bird clients.
Oh,
Those people need to travel too.
Yeah.
So, and bird people really don't travel because they're nervous to find somebody.
Oh.
I understand it's a lot of work with birds. You kind of have to know what you're looking for. There's no real bird vet. So it's such just people just own birds because they like them.
Yes.
But they don't go away because not a lot of people know how to take care of them. Like I have one bird client. She's wonderful. She worked in zoos for forever and she was a bird curator. So she knows her stuff with birds. Yeah. For sure. So I was like, oh my God, when I first got this client, I was like, oh, wow. And I remember I got her at the gym and the trainer who knew her was telling me, he was like, oh my God, she chops up all these fruits and vegetables for the birds. And he's like, oh, you're probably not going to have to do that. That's so much work.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Of course I have to do that.
Of course, yeah.
That's the biggest thing I have to do.
Who else is going to do it?
I really enjoy it because it looks really pretty. You make it just all rainbow colors. You chop into, but each bird has a different size beak. So I have to chop up the vegetables to a different size per cage.
Oh, wow.
She's got little ones. She has finches. She has a big white cockatiel. So, the big one, Anarchy, he can eat apples whole. You don't have to skin them. He can eat grapes, no big deal. But all in Rosellas, all these little birds, their beaks are small. So you have to chop them up really, really tiny. They can't do any skins because it's poisonous.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
those people need to go away too. Yeah. So as long as you're good with following direction, and these people trust you, then you'll be good. But so I do service birds too.
Okay, that's really interesting. What I like about this kind of the pet care is the ability to meet those clients' needs.
Yes.
Is that,
and you're not just stuck with cats and dogs.
Yes.
You know.
All sorts of things come up. I know we've sat hingeback tortoises and ball pythons and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, yes, snakes.
Yes.
I know. I have a couple lizards, and that's like as far as I'll go because the lizards don't even have teeth, but they still freak me out.
Sure.
Oh, gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something there about if you can follow directions, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
As a business owner, when you're bringing somebody on the team, what are some things that stick out to you that go, aha, this is good?
I've hired a lot of people over the years. I've hired about 16, and 4 have lasted more than 6 months. So, this is a tough industry. So it's hard for me to say because when I meet everybody initially, I'm like, oh my God, this person's great. Wow, they're wonderful. They have great references. The background check comes out fine.
Mm-hmm.
All of it looks perfect. Like, oh my God, I really need the help. And then within a couple months, they do something stupid. And I'm like, hello?
Oh, no.
Like, why did I hire you then? Just like, it. And then they end up quitting. And I'm like, wow. All right. Like, was that really good? Like, it was good help at the time, but was it like quality help?
Sure.
I don't know. See, the problem is with my business specifically, I'm so busy personally that my staff ends up taking all the extra jobs and all the extra clients. And I can't always follow them around.
Sure.
So, I can't take off a whole day just to follow around my staff because I have my own personal clients.
Okay.
So I don't know if maybe, and I do have everybody shadow me for, at least the first week. I join them with the first walk on any client. So they know the routine. They know how I do things. So I don't know if it's maybe just too much lax. Sometimes there can be too much freedom in this business.
Sure.
And sometimes there is a lot of quick thinking too with dog walking and pet sitting. There's sometimes you can't call me in the moment. You just have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And I've had dog walkers and pet sitters do that and then call me after the fact, which is fine because I've been in situations too where I can't immediately call the owner. I just have to think on my feet and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So those moments kind of make or break pet sitters for me. But hiring them initially, it's just so hard to tell somebody's work ethic until they're working for you.
Oh yeah.
And again, like following direction is like huge. If you can't follow my direction, like what the heck? Yeah. So that's, and responsibility and trust on my end is massive because my clients at the end of the day trust me for hiring my staff. Mm-hmm. They'll always come back to me because it's me, but they're okay with using somebody else.
The company is Heather's Pet Care, right? So ultimately, when you talk about like that, it does fall at your feet. Anything and everything that does happen is your responsibility at the end of the day.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
From the other side there, as a client, what are they looking for in a pet sitter?
Sure. So I've gotten close with a few of my clients. Being a personal trainer is very appealing to some people. Yeah. So my dog and pet sitting clients have also become my personal training clients. It kind of works hand in hand, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So I've asked my clients over the years, like why they keep using me or why they ended up choosing me. Because at the end of the day, you want to know you're doing a good job, but you don't really know why or how, So, and I know people are super blessed and grateful to have me in their life and whatnot and cool, but like, I know there's a reason why they still end up choosing me.
Yeah.
So, and actually it kind of happened a little bit earlier today. I was walking the dog in this one neighborhood. I was on the phone with my friend and one of my clients. I have this one neighborhood where I have 3 clients in there and one of them sees me sometimes. She just needs me. Actually, she's my lizard client. And so she pulled out today with her mom in the car and stopped and said, hey, and we just chatted for a few minutes and whatnot. And again, I was on the phone with my best friend. And when they ended up leaving, I was like, So there was some customer service right there for you.
Yeah.
This is why I still have these clients. So if you just make it, I know, a little bit of a personal touch, I think what people are looking for, is responsibility and trust are huge, because you're walking into people's houses when they're not there. Mm-hmm. They're handing you their house key. That's a really big deal for a lot of people. Yeah. I honestly think about it. Wow. Oh. Would I really want somebody staying in my house? Like, no. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't believe my clients trust me like they do, but they really do.
Oh, yeah.
And I think also over the years too, like, everybody's human, and I understand that, but I don't mess up. This is my job. I take this very seriously. Walking into your house is super serious, in my opinion, especially when you're not there, So I think people just see that right away, and they know, they just can sense it. I built this business in my hometown, and I was a bit of a nerd in high school. So I really didn't get in trouble, and I was a good kid. Yeah. So I've heard that from a lot of people. Like, they'll ask around town about me, and they'll just usually say I was a good kid. So that also helps too, because if you did some stupid stuff around town and you're going to try to build this, but it's just going to come out really fast, and people are going to find out, and then they're not going to want to use you. Yeah. So I think from a client's perspective, they're really looking for that responsibility, that trust from that end, and really how you articulate. I've met some people where I'm like, oh boy, like you can't speak well. And I do live in a area where it is very wealthy. I'm walking into a lot of mansions, a lot of people that have made a lot of money over the years, just being able to articulate and being, and you can throw responsibility in that too, with being able to talk well. And you don't have to have, massive amount of knowledge in this business to be able to even know what you're doing, because I don't have my degree in any sort of animal care or vet tech certification. I don't have any of that stuff. Yeah. So I just have a business degree. So how that turned into walking dogs, weird. But it's always crazy where life really takes you. So I really think the two biggest things from a client's perspective is responsibility and trust.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just presenting yourself as a professional, right? Like that is so
not
so
coming
huge.
up in like ripped clothes. Like I actually wear a lot of the stuff that I wear dog walking, because it smells like dogs. Yeah. And then the dogs just don't leave me alone. So then they're like, oh my God, my dog loves you already. I'm like, I know. And it's just because I smell like a dog. I know dogs can sense energy, and they know when you're not a good person. Yeah. But they can tell right away that I smell just like them. They're honestly confused, because they're like, you're not a dog, but why do you smell like one?
There's so much there.
Yeah, there's so much. Yeah, because I wear the same boots every winter, every day. Yeah. I do switch up my sneakers, but my boots I wear every day. So it smells. And I have labs, Goldens, dogs that shed like crazy. So I tend to just wear that stuff. I'm like, okay, good. But yeah, I've met some people that would wear like ripped jeans. I interviewed a girl that wore like a ripped shirt. And it was like ripped on purpose. It wasn't like an accidental rip. It was like just a ripped shirt on purpose. But maybe not for the interview.
It's
not a good idea. Because none of my clients, I wouldn't hire her, because I know none of my clients would hire her.
Yeah, that's big. And that idea of like, you are in people's homes. It's a very personal, it's very, intimate kind of business relationship that you have with people. And to know that whether you're being watched or not, you need to have that trust.
You pretty much are.
Yeah.
People need to know with pet sitting, you pretty much are. Yes, especially these days, because 5 years ago, the whole camera craze wasn't really a huge thing. So I felt like I got into the business at a good time. Yeah. But even with all the cameras and whatnot that they have now, they're still neighbors. People are really close with everybody. If you're just throwing parties, if you're not there, it's going to get back to the owner really fast. Yeah. Yeah. And it's happened to me a couple times with staff, where owners have called me, or, because their neighbor said something to them. And I'm like, oh, God. Or I've had it where I've stayed at houses where, the neighbors have said something about me. Oh. I'm like, oh, come on. Yeah. So it's like, you can tell the houses where people are really close and tight knit. But there always is the one or two that has a camera that you just have. One of my clients didn't even tell me, and there was a camera right inside the house. Ooh, yeah. And she said, listen, if you have people over, or if you do something, we're going to know. Just know that we'll know.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea what that even meant. And she was my personal training client at the time.
Mm.
So I felt it was so odd because I was seeing her so much at the gym that they didn't trust me being in their home with their dog too.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up, and I had no idea what she was talking about. So I was just, kind of hanging out like normal and whatnot, and all was fine. And all of a sudden I turn around and I just saw it like out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, I guess this is what she was talking about. And it was like right directly in the kitchen in the living room.
Yeah.
And they didn't put me in a bedroom. They put me in the basement. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to hang out in the basement.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I did. I just took the dog downstairs and we just hung out in the basement. So because I'm not a huge fan of cameras inside the house. Outside the house, fine. I understand why people do that, especially with all the package nonsense that's been going on. I understand why people do that. But inside the house, your dog's not doing anything but sleeping.
Yeah.
Nothing. Your dog is doing nothing.
If
you really want to know. Because sometimes I'll walk into a house quietly or they don't hear me right away. So then you kind of catch them in the act.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything but sleeping.
If
you want to watch them sleep for the 8 hours you're gone, all right. But they're not doing
television.
anything. Yeah, they're not doing anything productive. Nothing.
So do you ask clients if they have cameras, or do you just not even broach that topic and just assume?
I can kind of tell with some people. I mean, people do make it very obvious, really. I don't tend to ask sometimes what usually comes up, especially pet sitting wise, because it's more my dog walking clients that have cameras. For pet sitting wise, I'll ask in my checklist if they have any security or alarm systems. And usually the cameras are some sort of security system or linked to an alarm or something. So it'll usually come up with something like that. But people are usually pretty honest about it too. Like my very first pet sitting client before I started this business, the first thing they told me was they had cameras on the outside of their house. And I was like, oh, okay. And I think they were telling me because the last girl that they had, and they used a really close friend of theirs' daughter, I probably to save some money and, to kind of help out. And I'm sure they paid her a bit too, but you want to do something nice for your friend's kid.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell her about the cameras. So he told me that her boyfriend was coming over and letting the dogs out. She wasn't always staying there when she said she was. She was gone for like hours on end at one point. So it just was a hot mess. I was like, oh my God, this was like my first job. I was like, wow, am I sure I really want to do this?
Do that, yeah.
And they were going to Italy for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They were good friends with my aunt, and that's why they decided to go with me because the wife went to high school with my aunt. So that was, really close personal friend of hers. So I think that's why they trusted me because it was family, it basically at that point. So crazy. Crazy. And I even asked at one point, I think I needed my brother to stay over. I can't remember what the situation was, but I asked them. I emailed, I think we were communicating via email because it was Italy and this was 6 years ago. So I don't even think WhatsApp was around.
Yeah.
And I emailed them and I asked if my brother could stay over and they super appreciated that. And they were like, yeah, of course. Like they really, once I asked like once or twice, they didn't really care after that.
Yeah. And that just speaks to like communicate with the owners, communicate with the clients because they crave that. Like that is something that they love to have is
the only communication you have between the dog and the owner is you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they're going to want you to, it's better to ask up front and just be honest with them about things than try and either hide it or not ask and assume that it's okay. Never assume those kind of things when you're in somebody's home.
Especially the dog's schedule too, because I've heard people that will pet sit on the side, as a side hustle, kind of like how I started, which is cool. But people who have the normal Monday through Friday 8-hour job, and this dog is used to being let out, let's say at noon or 1 o'clock, because that's what the owner does.
Yeah.
That's where you have that disconnect a little bit, and that can become a bit. So letting the owner know right away, like, hey, I do work. I have a pet sitter right now who does have a full-time job. She works at a bagel place by me. And she actually works early morning, like 5:30, some mornings to like 2:33. So she's not getting out really late, but it's just such different hours that most of my clients are used to that I flat out tell them right away, listen, Michelle works for a bagel place. She has to work there really early. I'm going to stop in, kind of that. And midday at that point is like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because then she'll be back by, 3, 4 o'clock. So it doesn't really affect my schedule too much, but I'm able to at least help her. So then that way the dogs can be let out. The clients are fine with it. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also kind of taking a look and seeing what's going on and making sure everything's up to par. And, she didn't have a party the night before and, all that stuff. So,
absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned Michelle, and you have a few other people on your team. Tell us about the people that that work for you.
Sure. So I have Michelle now. She's been great. No problems. I've actually known her for many years, just going to this bagel shop. And then we just, kind of chatted there for a while. Then she actually approached me. She's like, hey, do you need any help with like pet sitting or whatnot? And I was like, oh my God, yes. Like, why haven't we talked about this forever ago? And I think I just didn't really bring it up to her because I was always going to her job,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
so I don't run we don't even speak about it when the owners are there. It's a completely separate thing with us. And I know that and I respect that. So she's been great so far. No complaints, but she's just strictly pet sitting because her schedule is so crazy and works a bit of a normal job. Mm-hmm. So my dog walker is actually a dog trainer. And her name is Amy. She's been a dog trainer for about 10 years now. Super excited to bring her on board because I don't know anything about dog training and I'm not about to drop 10K on that certification. So I was like, oh my God, I was like, a dog trainer, please join my group. So we actually do a lot of cross promotion with each other.
Oh, cool.
So any new clients that she gets, she talks about me, and any new clients and all of my old clients, especially ones that get a second dog, I immediately send her card over and say, listen, you need to get in, she works for me. You need to get in with her like now.
Yeah.
So we both have two very different businesses. She's not really competing with me. I don't do anything dog training wise. She has her own crew for that. It's dog training's not consistent. Pet sitting and dog walking is way more consistent than that. So that's why she's kind of working for me and doing the dog training. Because at first I was like, well, why? Why? Like, why do you want to work for me? This is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I can't pay you $100 for a dog walk, which is kind of a normal dog training session.
Wow.
So the consistency of it just really, you'll do great for a while and then you'll have nobody for like a month.
Sure.
So I can understand that because that was really in the beginning of this business. It's very up and down with the schedules. And if you don't build your clientele base up, not necessarily quickly, but if you don't keep building it, you'll just lose everybody. And that's that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so Amy's been great. She's strictly a dog walker of mine. There is a lot of extra hours and a lot of extra time in this business. I'm sure, as you know, it's not an easy, like, hey, you're walking dogs from 10 to 3 today.
And then you're done.
Yeah, and then So with them, I really kept that. Like with her, that's pretty much her schedule. I do her schedule every week for her, and I map it out literally to the hour and to like the half an hour mark that she needs to leave. So that way she knows where she needs to be. She can schedule her clients around that. And then that's that. But that does change every week and every day. It's not like she's walking dogs from 11 to 2 every day.
Okay.
She's not. Some days she starts at noon. Some days she starts at 11:45. Love her to pieces.
That's great.
Yeah. I cannot run this business on my own. I've been saying that a lot lately. I don't know why, but it happened to me in June where I had a dog walker that was going to replace Erica. And within a week of me almost losing Erica, this girl gave me 5 days notice and quit. And I was like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Like you have your own book and I have my own book.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So it was a panic. So I literally had to drop my personal clients that I had for years until I was ready to take them back because I didn't want to lose the new business.
Sure.
My old clients were okay with it. Weirdly enough, they were like, listen, come back when you need to. We understand. We'll cover it for now.
That's super great.
Nobody dropped me. Nobody dropped me through that. So, and it was 2 weeks that I was running it by myself and I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
So that's when I hired the mom, and then I hired the dog trainer too all at once. I was like, I can breathe, thank God. So I just separated those clients, and they each had, the start of their book, and then I could actually breathe and focus on things.
So you have some relatively new hires. How are you managing them and keeping everybody organized on the same page?
Each staff member that has worked for me has kind of taught me what to do different next time.
Yeah.
So, and it's usually really bad stuff that happens where I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Now I really have to drastically change things.
Right.
So what I do now, which I find this has helped me the most, writing out their schedules via email, huge. That's been super helpful because in that way I can look back on where they need to be. It's via email. It's not like in a text message where it's lost. And I have an app called Doggy Logs. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a few of like those kind of GPS tracking apps too for walking dogs. There's one called Tractive as well.
Okay.
I looked into both, and Doggy Logs honestly was just more fun. Like it's very user friendly, just like cartoony type of kind of layout.
Okay.
So that's huge for me when I bring on, because sometimes I'll bring on like old staff. I hired a girl for the holidays this year who helped me out with a job last year. And just to make sure that these girls are staying at the houses for as long as they need to be, that's where the app becomes handy, because you have to go into it and start and stop it.
Yeah.
And I get the email. And all I really look at is I'm just making sure that you're there at the time that I said you were going to be there. Because if you don't need, especially if you're stopping into a house 3 times a day, you're not giving updates 3 times a day.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's like so much work. And like, what are you going to talk about? Like by the end of after the 3rd day, there's nothing left to talk about.
Yep.
So I usually do one update at the end of the day, but that's where the Doggy Log app comes handy, because you don't have to touch base or really say anything to me as long as I get that email.
Sure.
If there's a problem where you found something in the house, you need to call me. Right. That's always my MO. Please, if you need to reach me, do. But if you were just there for a normal visit and everything was fine, I'll just check my emails, make sure that you were there, and move on with my day.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how I felt that I've really kept everybody organized now.
So what's the market like for pet care where you live?
It's huge. It's huge. Everybody has pets. Everybody needs to go away. Everybody needs help.
Wow.
It's massive. I'm in an extremely crowded space over here.
Okay.
I'm part of a Facebook group that's in my town, just specifically for my town. Got about 10,000 people in it. And I don't live in a city. I live in a farm town. So don't think of anything huge.
Yeah.
And, I grew up next to 3 farms. So,
okay.
I lived in Farmville. So everybody has a lot of animals.
Gotcha.
And in this Facebook group, people will ask for dog walkers or pet sitters. They'll always and I'm telling you, there are 50 comments, 60 comments, all different.
Wow.
All different. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not like the same person. I actually got a client. So blessed to have gotten this client. Got a client because he went on Facebook, saw one of the posts, started writing down names of businesses. I was the first one.
Nice. Okay.
He contacted me and I emailed him back that day, and we met I think 2 days later.
Wow.
He didn't even contact anybody else.
Right. Well, he didn't need to, because you got in touch.
Didn't need to. Exactly. So it's crazy the amount of people that will refer other pet sitters and dog walkers in this area. And I usually don't get the person who posted the job. I usually get people that see it, like this particular client, how I got Susie. He just saw it online. So that's how I've gotten a lot of my extra clients, just from the people seeing this from the Facebook group. Maybe they tried somebody else, didn't have good luck. Like I got a client once for a cat, actually, and they had an alarm system, and you had to put in your own code, and that, that again, that stuff. This is something that and they hired a girl that literally came just like in and out. Still put her alarm code in and everything, and left, after like 5 minutes.
Wow.
So of course they asked me, how long do you typically stay for? Blah, blah. So I'm like, wow, this girl, they get those text messages, because she even told me too, if you ever have an issue with our alarm system, just let me know. I can do it remotely.
Yep.
So they knew when I was coming in and out of that house. So I was like, wow, I'm like, oh my gosh. So and I think they tried somebody else from the Facebook group and then used her once that happened. And then they've had me ever since.
Have you heard about Time to Pet? Dan from NYC Pooch has this to say.
Time to Pet has been a total game changer for us. It's helped us streamline many aspects of our operation, from scheduling and communication to billing and customer management. We actually tested other pet sitting softwares in the past, but these other solutions were clunky and riddled with problems. Everything in Time to Pet has been so well thought out. It's intuitive, feature-rich, and it's always improving.
If you are looking for new pet sitting software for your business, give Time to Pet a try. As a listener of Pet Sitter Confessional, you'll get 50% off your first 3 months when you sign up at timetopet.com/confessional. How do you set yourself apart in a really crowded market like that? What do you think, helps you bubble up to the top there?
I really think my website helps. Not a lot of people in this industry have websites. It's usually either a Facebook page or phone number.
Okay.
And people want to make sure this is a legitimate business. They want to see testimonials. They want to know what you actually do. Because not a lot of we have businesses over here that just service cats.
Really?
Or businesses that just service dogs. Yes.
Okay.
There's some people that won't touch cats, and there's some people that don't want to deal with dogs.
Oh.
Yeah. So you're limiting yourself a little bit in that regard, but there are those people do exist around here. So I always get a lot of compliments on my website, and it's a Squarespace website that my best friend and I designed it 6 years ago.
Okay.
So I haven't even changed it. I've changed the pictures and testimonials, of course, but I haven't changed the layout of that in 6 years. And I'm not going to, because I always get a lot of compliments on it. And I feel like that stands out the most with me, because once you need to have a good first impression before you then meet the client.
Yes.
So I feel like they see enough where they're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet this girl. And right away, it's usually like, oh, your website was so cute. I couldn't wait to meet you. And I've gotten that a lot over the years. So I really feel like that's the winner right there, is just a website, which seems so basic, and it's super basic.
Yeah. Well,
it really is. And on this Facebook group, I'm telling you, I'm probably one of 2 or 3 people that have websites. That's it.
And when these days, it's shocking to hear that, because these days websites are pretty ubiquitous, and
they're pretty much free.
Yeah, at this point,
yes. Or you build your own. Squarespace, I think, is $100 a year.
Yes,
it's less than $10 a month. I can't even. How can you not justify that cost?
Yeah.
For something that I don't even pay for Google ads or Google, none of that stuff, and I'm found off of Google a lot.
Yeah.
I thank Google all the time. Like, oh, thank you, Google.
Yeah. So to anybody listening to this, if you don't have a website, just getting a simple one out there with your name, prices, contact information, and some testimonials,
and what's interesting? I don't put my prices online.
Okay, really? So interesting.
I do not. No, okay. I do not. Because for me, I find not everybody just has one dog that runs, that's a golden retriever that needs to be walked at this time, and that's what it is.
Yes.
Everybody has different animals. You may have more than one dog. You may have a dog and a cat. You may not need me for dog walking services every day. I have clients that just use me for when they go away. Mm-hmm. And my dog walking clients, they don't typically go away, or they'll use friends and family because they, use me for dog walking, and I get it. They don't want to spend any more with me. I understand. It can be pricey after a while. So then they kind of, I think their wallets are curtain a little bit. So then they use friends and family. That's totally fine.
Yeah. So, I think that's interesting, because basically you're saying by not really putting prices on there, you're kind of, you're making a second conversation happen of allowing yourself to curtail the exact services and the exact pricing at the time that it's being asked for.
Yes. Because overnight care really does vary on how much work is being done. And I don't know if that's how you guys price it too, but I definitely have underpriced myself before. Yeah. Where I was like, it should be like this much. The work doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
Actually, the woman that I charge the most ever in pet sitting was this summer. And she had 4 cats, 2 dogs, and like 30 chickens.
What?
And I didn't even charge her $100 a day.
Oh my! Okay.
And I should have.
Wow.
I should have. Yeah, I should have, because it wasn't so much with the dogs and the cat. Well, the cats got fed 3 times a day. That was a little bit of work. And 2 of them were kittens. The other 2 were fine. The dogs were, oh my God, phenomenal. The one was a retired working line German Shepherd. Oh. Like he had airport security clearance.
What?
Yeah, like the most trained dog. Yeah, he was great. Ramus, and Flint. Beautiful, beautiful German Shepherds. They just, I had no problems with them. And I really didn't have any issues with the chickens. It was just all the work with the chickens.
Yeah.
So I had to let them out first thing in the morning, collect all the eggs. I had to make sure and they can't see at night. So of course, in the summertime, when does it get dark? At like 9:30.
Yes.
So I had to stay up until it got dark and then put on my chicken boots, put on a jacket, because the mosquitoes are everywhere, and make sure all the chickens are in. Huh. Like I had one that I had to chase around for like a solid 5 minutes because he just wouldn't go in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's getting dark. I know you need to go in, and I can't leave this. Like, you need to go in.
Yeah.
So I should have charged her, so I definitely undercharged myself with that job.
Yeah.
And it happens, it totally. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to put any prices with overnight care in, because if you have one dog where I have to let out in the backyard 3 times a day, I'm not going to charge you $80 a day for that. That's like really ridiculous. That's too easy, but if you have a dog that I have to walk 3 to 5 times a day, because sometimes that happens, it's, you're going to pay for that.
Yeah. And I think it is very easy in this business to constantly undercharge your services because
you want the client.
You want the client, you're afraid of losing them.
Yes.
And you really end up hurting yourself in the end because you run yourself ragged. And at the end of the day, the person who traveled with the chickens and the cats and the dogs, who else were they going to get to do that? For that quality of service. And so you have to remind yourself of people are reaching out to you for a reason, because they need somebody that they can trust, and they're going to pay for it get a certain quality of service that they can trust and believe in. And
I worked with people for the first 2 years of starting this business. I said, listen, then let's work out a price then.
Yeah.
Especially for dog walking, because that's consistent. So a $5 increase or decrease is a lot of money to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I used to work with people in the beginning. Now I don't, because I've been doing this for too long. My time is really valuable. People get that, and they really don't gawk about my prices too much anymore.
Yeah.
Because they know I've been around, and I know what I'm doing at this point. And I don't need to work with people to get the client, to get them to stay, because it does end up hurting you in the long run. Totally. Because how do you then say, like, how do you then increase the prices? That's a very awkward conversation to have with people.
Yes, it is.
It really is, especially people who use you, consistently and more than just once a week. If it's once a week, those people don't really cry about it, because it's like, okay, understood. Yeah. I didn't raise my prices until this year, I think, or maybe like sometime last year.
Okay.
I kept them the same for like a straight 4 years.
Wow.
Because I was like, well, why are these people going to pay? They're not going to want to pay more. And I'm not going to have a dog walk from $20 to $22. Why am I going to deal with change? You know what I mean? I know some people do that, in especially in Jersey. They have a half-hour walk for $22. And I'm like, who is ever going to have $20 bills? And they're going to pay you in change event. I've had clients pay me in change for $20, and like they're going to pay you in change.
Yeah,
I'm sure, for $2.
Absolutely.
And like it just, and then if you're paying staff on that too, like you're just dealing with more unnecessary money that you don't need to.
Yeah. So from a management decision, it's much easier to manage that. But, eventually you do need to start adjusting those prices, because, costs are going up all the time and all this stuff. And then
gas too,
it's not going down anytime soon. So
no, it's not. Yeah. No. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So after 5.5 years, do you have a most memorable or maybe even influential client that has helped the way you run your business or view what you do?
I would say probably Amy. Amy's the owner. Chaplin's the dog.
Okay.
He's been my buddy my God, loves me to pieces. Everybody's like, oh, he loves you so much. I'm like, I know. But I literally had him since he was a 10-week-old puppy.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Wow. I still have my black lab for 3. Riley's going to turn 4 soon. I had her when she was 8 weeks old. I held her in my hand. Can't do that now. She's like 40 pounds now. Can't do that now. But like, I have a before and after picture because getting selfies with her is really hard. I think we kind of all ruined it when she was a puppy with the picture. So a lot of these dogs don't like the phones because they know it's for selfies.
Sure.
So I have gotten maybe like 2 or 3 over the last couple of years because they were really hard to get. When she was a puppy, no big deal.
Okay.
So I have like a layout picture of the 2 of us. And I would say that's probably the most like impacted one because I'm holding her in my hands and then she's like this giant dog.
It's quite the change.
Yeah, huge. So I would definitely say Chaplin because I had him since he was, and I think he was maybe 10 weeks old. I don't even think he was quite 3 months, 4 months. And Ken being my 3rd client and still using me, I even helped out with her mom with her cats because her mom lived down the road from here. So, they, and she even said to me recently, she's like, oh, I feel like you're just part of the family now. And I was like, yes, I totally am. They got a 2nd dog. We've been working really hard with that. So, it's So once, and they feel comfortable and it's such a sigh of relief for them that I'm there. They do have a 16-year-old stepson that goes to high school that, does come home and help out with the dogs when needed. But she knows when I stop by that, the dogs are happy. They're at least getting out for a good walk. The high schooler doesn't have to rush home to then deal with the dogs.
Sure.
It's a good peace of mind, really.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps out a lot.
Yeah. Yes.
So for your business, you've chosen to go with an LLC filing. Right. Why in particular did you decide to go with that over another kind of classification?
So I know LLC has a lot of good tax advantages.
Okay.
That was a big, because you can pretty much write everything off with S Corps and some of the other ones. They're a little more not tax sensitive. You just can't really get away with a lot. And I think it was just one of the cheaper ones to kind of set up.
Sure.
S Corps and I think there's B Corps too are a little more complicated to set up. And I did wait a little bit to get an LLC because it was a lot of money, actually, and I think it's more now, but LegalZoom 5 years ago was like almost $1,000.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Chunk of change.
So I was like, I need to work for this and save up for it and then buy it.
Yeah.
So I did that within probably a few months and probably like 2-3 months because I knew how important it was to get an LLC started. If something happens in your care with these animals and they need to sue you because it happens and we're a very sue happy country, they're going to sue your company.
Yes.
Different with suing. If they sue you personally, they can take everything.
Yeah.
If they sue your company, they can just take what the company's worth.
Sure.
So I knew that I needed to at least get something like ASAP. So I did save, I want to say for like a couple months. And then I actually found a company called bizfilings.com that was half the price. So I was like, okay, doing that. So I did Biz Filings and I think I had a registered agent for a little bit, which really didn't mean much. And then I became my own registered agent. And it's just all really, besides the tax advantages and not, getting sued and whatnot and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it is just part of, again, like protecting yourself. And part of that
it's
is
really just owning that's the start of actually owning a business.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have an LLC or anything behind you, yes, you can still own a business, but it's more of a side hustle. It's not a business.
Yeah, it's one of those steps.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one of those steps of LLC, and then you start looking into insurance and being bonded and all that stuff. You're really stepping into that running and operating your as a business. Yeah. So speaking of business, what are some little things that you do? We're talking about these big, LLC and taxes and some other stuff before
all
about
the boring
managing
stuff.
all the boring stuff.
Yeah. All the reasons why people don't own a business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there are little things that go into it as well that
totally.
that you do a lot of. Yeah.
Totally. Because I feel like a lot of the little things is why I've kept a lot of my clients, because they just appreciate the small stuff, and you're also in their home every single day, so being located in Jersey, we've been getting a lot of weird weather lately. It was 60 degrees yesterday and it snowed today. Very bizarre.
Fun.
That's a little weird for us. Yeah, that's a little weird for Jersey. We don't, especially in December time, we don't ever see 60s like ever. Yeah. But it didn't quite get 60. It got like 58. But let me tell you, it felt a lot warmer than 32 today. So weird, but felt warmer at least. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, a lot of people are getting packages, and these delivery drivers aren't necessarily putting them underneath a porch that they easily could. Yeah. So one thing that we do, especially if it's raining or snowing, and it's just not going to stop, we'll bring in packages. Because that's, again, otherwise they're just going to sit out all day until they come home. And if we're there in the middle of the day, we can just scoot them inside and bring them inside. Yeah. That's not going to kill you. So that's a big one. Another big one that I do, and I really feel like people appreciate this a lot, around daylight savings time. So obviously during the summer, it's, by the time people are coming home, it's still light outside. No big deal. It doesn't get dark until like 9 o'clock.
Right.
Then we get into this time of the year where it's pitch black by 4:30 and people aren't home until like 6 o'clock sometimes, or like 5 o'clock at a normal time. And then they come home to a pitch dark house.
Yeah.
The dogs are in the dark, their house is dark. And some people just don't think to keep lights on before they leave. Actually, a lot of people turn off everything before they leave because then they're not going to be there for the rest of the day, which makes sense.
Yep.
So I'll turn on a few lights in the house. That's definitely a big one for me. I usually have to remind myself to do it. And then I have to unremind myself to do it once summertime hits. So I'm so used to, as soon as I walk in, I'll turn on the lights. Yeah. Because if I don't do it right away, it's just going to slip my mind because I'm used to not doing it from the summertime. So then once summertime comes, I'm like, okay, I don't need to worry about any lights.
Right. Yeah.
Never my nighttime people, I do some clients I see at night. So those people fine. But otherwise, I would say those two things are probably a big reason why I've kept that, and the text message update. That's huge because people need to know, I tell all my clients, you got to give me a 2-hour window. Okay. Schedules changes. People cancel last minute. Your day is changing. Let's say something happens to you, you get into a car accident or you get a flat tire. You at least know you have 2 hours to then see that dog. Some clients want to know when we were there because sometimes it is a longer 2-hour window. And let's say, we usually come at noon every single day. And for whatever reason, we decided to come at 1. They may reach out to me and be like, hey, what's going on? Mm-hmm. So those text messages, those clients look for that. They see it. They may not answer it because they're in the middle of work. Or, I have some people that are answering me like super late, like once they get home, like, oh, just don't even worry about it. Like I know you see it and I know they just look at it and they're like, cool, the dog is taken care of. And then they just put their phone down. Mm-hmm. So that I feel like is a huge selling piece. I just got a client recently in my hometown, husband and wife team, groomer dog walking duo. I was like, oh,
that's awesome.
Oh, yes, exactly. Because, oh my God, all your dog walking clients are going to be your grooming clients.
Ta-da.
Well, I guess not so awesome because their grooming business took off that they had to shut the dog walking business down.
Oh, no.
In 2 weeks.
Whoa.
They gave everybody 2 weeks notice and that was that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which I guess I guess that's nice enough because then everybody does have enough time to find somebody, but bad news. Yeah. So I ended up, I got a client from that because she would, was like, oh my God, we need help like immediately. I was like, oh yes, I'm on my way. So I told her, I said, listen, because they had a dog walker for 4 years. So I said, cool. How did your guy give you guys updates or whatnot?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, we just had like, a notepad out and we would just like leave each other notes.
What?
I was like, okay. I mean, and I know some people that have done that in the past and I'm like, all right. Well, this is what I do. I'm going to send you a text message after I leave, and if anything is funky or weird, I'll let you know. But, I'll just send you a basic update, that Lennon had a good walk and all is good today and I'll see him tomorrow. So she was like, oh, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then because I'm with him 3 days a week and I'm big about also sending a picture because that's huge in this business, I've been sending her pictures. For the last 4 years, she hasn't gotten one during these dog walks because they just leave each other notes. So that's been, I think, for her, she's not going to use anybody else. Why would she?
Sure. Yeah.
Like she loves the pictures. She loves the boomerangs I get with him. And, I know they're super satisfied with using me. Like, I know they were really bummed to lose their old dog walker because who wouldn't be when you work with somebody for that long?
Oh, yeah.
But I also think they're really happy that they have me now.
Yeah.
Because the service just looks so much different in their eyes.
And what I love about those things of the lights on in the wintertime, the text messages, those kind of things, those don't cost you as the sitter anything to do.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
You're
and
already
it holds
there.
me accountable too.
Yeah.
Totally holds me accountable because sometimes I'll be sending a text message and a call will come through. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And if I take the call, I'm like, oh, I gotta send the text message. And then sometimes it slips where I then don't send the text message. And then the client will text me later on at night and be like, did you see my dog today? And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yes, I did. Oh my God. That actually happened to me 2 weeks ago.
Oh no.
And it wasn't even because a phone call came through. I don't know why I didn't text her. I just didn't. I just got busy. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I texted her that update. Yeah. And then she texted me later on that night and was like, did you see Ruby today? And I was like, oh my God, I did forget to text you. I was like, yeah. And she would have known because I took my money and I left on a light and whatnot. So she knew I was in the house, but
didn't get that message.
Didn't get that text message. So, she was like, well, was she really here today?
Yeah.
And with staff, that helps me to know where you're at. Because I'm like, okay, they're done with Phoebe. They're going to go to Tipper and Chrissy's house next. So that way I know I'm following them without like really being big brothery about it.
Sure. Yeah. And what I love with the photos is with you sit the same dog or the same pets for a long period of time. And there you see photos that you've taken slowly start to populate the person's house. And you're kind of like, oh, yeah, that's right. I did.
One of my clients used mine for a Christmas card.
Oh, yeah. See,
that was cool. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah. My one client was like, I have a whole album of pictures you sent me.
Yes.
I was like, oh God. I was like, I bet you do. Because this dog I see twice a day. I'll send them 2 to 3 pictures. And this has been for 3 years straight.
Oh,
so they have hundreds, thousands of pictures just from me, and then they have their own as well. So, I have thousands of pictures of people's pets, like really from the beginning. Because I just felt like that picture was such a good selling piece.
It
that
really
people
is.
really weren't getting that. I've done that really since the beginning. I wasn't big about it, when I first started, because taking pictures and selfies weren't really a thing again. But like now it kind of is. So I'm, sometimes I feel like I'm glued to my phone or glued to the camera. But it's that selling, like I know the service is being valued tenfold just from that alone.
Yeah. Those pictures.
And they don't feel like they're wasting their money, or it's not, because we're a luxury service. This is not something that people think of when they get a dog, like, oh my God, I need a dog walker.
Yes. Yeah,
when people lose their jobs, they usually let go of the maid because in their home they can clean. They'll let go of their personal trainers because they can't afford it anymore. And then we're pretty much next.
Yeah. So adding as much value as you can as a sitter to your service is really important. Yeah. Everybody's, as pet sitters, we experience some good things or bad things. What's been a not so very good day that you've had recently, and what are some lessons that you learned from it?
Oh boy, yes. Well, okay, so I'll tell you the story on why I had to get doggy logs, because that app I just got over the summer. Like I got it in July, so it wasn't something I've ever needed to use at all in the last 5 years. But this one particular dog walker of mine, again, they test the system once and then I have to rework it again.
Yeah.
So with her, I actually got her pretty busy this one particular day. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be This is going to be a huge sign to see if she can handle this type of work and this type of clientele. She had maybe like 6 dogs that day. 1 dog at the time, which his schedule is different now, but at the time, it was 2 visits a day for 20 minutes each. And he was being crated. Golden retriever puppy. So just wasn't housebroken yet. They had a camera pointing to the crate that everybody knew about. They showed us right. I mean, it was right there. It's not, you couldn't not walk in the room and not see it, So at the end, and that day, everything was going fine. She was sending text messages fine. I really didn't have to worry about her. This dog was actually the second visit was her last visit of the day. So all was good. And I got a text message from the owner separately asking me if the visits were 20 minutes long each or 20 minutes for the whole day. And I said, no, 20 minutes long each. So it would be 40 minutes, for the day. And she was like, okay. She's like, that's what I thought, because she was only there for both visits for like 12 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, seriously?
Oh, wow.
She sent me a screenshot of the Nest camera. And it literally was her taking out the dog at, let's say 2:30, and then literally putting the dog back in 12 minutes later.
No way. Oh.
Both visits.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I looked at this for a while and I was like, oh. Yeah. Okay. And it was I also had to make a decision as a business owner quick what the heck I was going to do, right then and there to make this right, because this was a brand new client of mine. I only had at this point, I only had her for a couple months, and I was like, oh my God, I can't lose this client. Mm-hmm. And she got me from her next door neighbor that she grew up with. And it was such a glowing, raving review. I was like, oh my God, this dog walker is this is where hiring staff can get really bad, because once they mess up, it falls on you.
Yep.
So I was like, listen, I said, she's never seeing the dog again. I was like, I'll get the key back from her. Don't worry about that. She's never seeing this dog again. Mm-hmm. And she was like, okay. She's like, thank you. I appreciate it. She's like, I really don't feel like I should pay for today. I said, oh, no, you are not. I was like, oh, no.
Sure.
So luckily for my dog walker, I still paid her for that day. Okay. I just ate it because I needed to as a business owner.
Yeah.
But the first thing I did is I took that Nest screenshot that the owner sent me and I sent it to her. And I said, listen, before you respond to this, you need to look at this picture and tell me exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So it took her a while to respond back to me. I could tell that she was nervous because we didn't end up chatting on the phone about it. It was just all strictly through texting. But she was sending me novels of just pretty much saying the same thing.
Okay.
So she truly felt like she was there for 20 minutes. I said, listen, you're there with him. You're taking pictures of this dog. I literally wrote your schedule out to where you needed to stay at this house from this time to that time. Mm-hmm. You left 8 minutes early.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
That is.
You literally got into your car, looked at the time and was like, oh, wow, this is really early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she really didn't have a good reason or excuse for it. She just truly felt like she was there for 20 minutes. I didn't even know what to say to the owner. I was just like, wow, this is embarrassing.
Yeah. That's not the kind of service you provide.
No. And it's honestly not a good excuse.
No.
Come up with something better. If you're going to lie to me about it, at least come up with something better. You had an emergency or something. Yeah. And you're on your phone. That's the worst part too. It's set a timer. You're on your phone. And again, this was before the Doggy Logs app. So it was nothing, I was leaving it really up to them. But again, I did a walk with her first. So it wasn't like she didn't know how long 20 minutes felt and what we did during that visit. She knew what she was doing. But so I would say that was probably the worst one that I had to deal with recently.
So coming off of that, what do you wish people knew about the life of a pet sitter? What people who aren't pet sitters? What do you wish they knew about what it's like being a pet sitter?
So I guess it depends on if you're looking to make this a business or if you're just looking to make this, like some extra income on the side. Because I would say as a business owner, get ready to work. Okay. But for somebody who's doing this on the side, not necessarily all work because it's not your 24/7 job, 365 of the year type of thing. But I feel like with both owning a business and being a pet sitter, being responsible is huge in this world. And if you just really relay that there is the difference of the amount of work owning a business like this and doing it full time as opposed to the side income. But being responsible is huge in this business.
Right.
And I really can't stress that enough because I thought I've hired, a million responsible girls until stuff like this happens.
Yeah.
So I guess that just was kind of common sense for me until I started hiring other people that weren't necessarily responsible. And I was like, oh, come on. Because again, these are living, breathing creatures.
Yes. Yeah.
They have pulses. They get cold. They get sick. They get hot. It's still something that's breathing that you need to take care of. And they're dependent on you. These animals are dependent on, they're like babies. They're dependent on you for their whole life, really.
Exactly.
But, they're totally dependent on you. So if you're not responsible enough to realize that, because I know plenty of people around town that, I have my one friend that tells me all the time, I help out with my friend's dogs, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, but it kind of sucks though when I have to help out with him because I can't really do what I want. And I have to, schedule my days and my plans around letting out his dogs.
Yeah.
Maybe and all I did was smile and I was like, welcome to my world.
Exactly. Yeah.
I said, that's what the responsibility of owning, being in this business really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, Heather, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your stories and your experiences. If people want to get in touch and ask some more questions, how can they do that and follow along with your work?
Totally. So I do have a business Instagram. My website, unfortunately, is heatherpetcare.com, which also landed my Instagram handle as heatherpetcare.com as well.
Okay.
So it's not the same as my actual business name, which stinks. But if you follow along my Instagram, I post on my story of all my clients that I see every day. I don't necessarily post all the time, like on my actual wall, because I'm just too preoccupied. You'll see how busy I am once you check out my stories.
Yes.
So I have a lot of different clients, a lot of interesting ones. A lot of my clients follow me on there too, and they message me every so often. And either they'll say, oh, wow, you had such a busy day, or like, oh, you see so many different dogs and cats. And, I think people don't realize how big this business really is. And now that we have social media to kind of portray that, I really didn't tap into any of it until recently.
Yeah. Wow.
I was just too busy. I didn't have the time.
Yeah.
I didn't have the time, and
it takes up a lot of time for sure.
Yes, it does. Yes, especially social media.
Thank you so much, Heather. We really do appreciate it.
Sure.
Hope to have you back on again soon.
Yes, definitely would love to connect with you guys again, talk about, different topics and whatnot. Totally want to be, in touch with you guys. Totally.
Yes, for sure. Will do. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Colin. Talk to you soon.
Heather's discussion about the little things in your business and that you can do for your clients each and every day to keep them coming back year after year is a refreshing reminder that it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to show that you are really caring and invested in your clients. Heather is definitely out there killing it and working hard. And when she talked about that she wished other people knew of just how difficult this job actually is, that really rings true to us. We all know that behind the scenes, a lot of work goes into that, and not everybody notices it. We're all in this together, and we all know the work that it takes to do that. Thank you so much for listening, guys. If you have comments or feedback or a story that you would like to have told, email us at feedback@petsitterconfessional.com. If you're not in our Facebook group, please go join. It's such a wonderful community of supportive people. They're always asking questions and getting feedback and helping each other work through whatever they're dealing with. Go to Facebook and we are Sitter Confessionals. It's a private group, but ask to join and we'll let you in. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Petsitter Confessional, and we're even on Twitter at PS Confessional. We often get asked by our listeners of how you can support us. By sharing our episodes to people who you think need to hear it, and by giving us a rating and a review on iTunes or wherever you're listening. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your days to listen to us. It means so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.